Good afternoon, my peeps. This is Chris Caballero with the Black Seal team here in New York City. You know, the reason I created this video is to talk to you a little bit about how to go about finding the right apartment here in Manhattan. And I actually created this video with you in mind because I've been down that road myself, and let me tell you, it wasn't a pleasant experience. With not being able to find the right place, or dealing with shady brokers out there in the marketplace, to dealing with greedy landlords and everything else in between. So I said to myself, I'm going to create a video to really share the uncut version, the broker's version, straight from the streets, how I see it every single day when I deal with clients and I'm out there. It's a new experience, and I want to relay the experience of what I do every day, helping our clients in a way that helps you better make more informed decisions for yourself and for your family, and to avoid many of the hurdles, pitfalls, and headaches that normal people go through in the process of trying to find an apartment here in Manhattan. It's a jungle out there, let me tell you. So, without any further ado, when you're first starting your search for an apartment, where's the first place you look? Obviously the internet, right? That's where we all go. But when you get online, all of a sudden, you begin to get a sense of feeling overwhelmed. And the reason why is because there's so much content, there's so much information. A lot of these sites out there purport to have the best listings. Then you get on them and you actually see the same listings from one site to another. And not only that, but you also see the same listings with different brokers. So it causes a level of confusion and frustration, because a lot of times you just really don't know who you're dealing with on the other side of the table. You don't know whether the person who's got the property advertised is a listing broker or an assistant to the owner or the property manager. It's really hard to tell. So I'm going to give you the skinny of how this works, okay? And this will hopefully help you avoid many of the frustrations most people encounter in the process of searching online for an apartment. So where do you start? So you start, obviously, yes, online. There's a variety of different websites out there. Some of the big ones are StreetEasy, Rent Hop, Naked Apartments, and Apartable. Those four right there pretty much have the bulk of the properties that are out there at any given point in time. But I'll tell you, each one of those websites is what's called a content aggregator. So what a content aggregator is that they pool content from various sources and they populate that on their websites. For example, StreetEasy could pool content from rent.com, from apartments.com. They could pull content from RLS and any other sources to actually populate content. Companies will feed them listings directly through their internal databases as well when the companies have exclusives to those properties. Also, many of these websites feature what's known here in Manhattan as open listings. Now that's something that isn't very popular outside of the state of New York, but here in New York City, that is a concept that's quite popular amongst landlords. And let me unpack that and explain to you a little bit how that works, okay? So let's say, for example, you saw a property over at the West Village on StreetEasy. Next thing you know, you're browsing around Naked Apartments and you see the same property, but with a different broker. You hop onto Apartable and it's the same property, yet it's with another broker. So you wonder, you ask yourself, well, who really has the listing? The short answer is, and the straight answer is this: none of them do. Okay, here in Manhattan, a lot of the large landlords don't like to give exclusive listings to brokers, and a lot of times because they don't want to feel like they're locked into a contract in the event that the broker can't perform, then they can't get out of it, right? A lot of these landlords want to spread their wings and use everybody's marketing efforts and expertise to try to bring in clients. So for that reason, they don't want to be exclusive with anyone. They would rather just give that listing out to the brokerage community, have brokers who are open and willing to work that listing to spend money, advertise it, show it, and bring them prospective tenants. So that's how that works. None of those brokers have the listing. So whenever you see the same apartment advertised from one site to another, but with different brokers, that is a sign that the property is under an open listing arrangement with the landlord. That means no one's got the listing to the property. Now, you may be asking yourself, Well, you know, if no one's got the listing, can I just go around the broker and straight to the management company to try to get the deal myself and cut the broker out of his fee? Well, you could try, but let me tell you what would happen. A lot of times management companies here in Manhattan have relationships with the brokerage community that they've had for years. And you know, there's a certain format and way that they enjoy receiving the information they get from the tenant in order for them to evaluate the applicant. So brokers understand how to put these packages together and what the requirements of these landlords are. And in most cases, if you try to go around the broker and straight to the management company, depending on who they are and their level of sophistication, they may take you, all right? It's not saying they won't. They may take you, but they're going to put the burden on you to go ahead and get them all the information and paperwork that's needed for you to present your application, all right? Now, 90% of the times, okay, which is a real high percentage, the management company will turn around and tell you, look, you got to deal with my broker. Here's your business card and show you the door. That's just how it works. And the reason they do that is because, A, they want to avoid any type of liability of dealing directly with the tenant for whatever reason they may have in mind, or you know, they just don't want to burn their bridges with the brokers that they've created relationships with already. A lot of these management companies also are so busy with everything that they've got happening in their office and managing hundreds and hundreds of apartments that, you know, to get somebody to walk in their office, to sit down, do the application, ask them 100 questions, and only to come back and bring them the paperwork and it's not complete and you'll have to go back and forth, it's a hassle for them. So they'd rather avoid that hassle and deal with the broker and have the broker bring them a complete package. Boom, here it is, here's a check, approve it. You know, they are looking for efficiencies in the process of being able to do business. So a lot of times, even if you had the luck of finding who the management company was and going straight to them, you may not have much luck getting the apartment. So that being said, keep your search focused on the larger sites that are out there on the internet, like StreetEasy. Okay, that's probably the largest site that pools content of all the sites out there. Here in Manhattan, we don't have an MLS. We have what's called an RLS. And that's through the Real Estate Board of New York. They've got this de facto MLS. They call it an RLS. Don't ask me why. And so that feeds a lot of the exclusive listings that companies put out directly over to StreetEasy. Okay, so that's important right there for you guys to know. And also, when you're looking at different apartments out there, you also have to be sure that you understand what type of product you're looking at. For example, the 3 types of apartments that you could possibly rent out here in the market are just regular apartments, right? And those apartments will kind of be broken down into 2 segments, either fee or no fee apartments, okay? There's condos as well. There's co-ops as well. Now, if you're going to apply for a co-op, let me just give you a heads up. Typically, co-ops have a co-op board, a board of directors, that's right. And in addition to the normal rental application and packaging of your documents, they're going to ask for other documents that are far and above what you would normally provide in a regular apartment to rent it. And the reason why is because a co-op board wants to ensure that you have specific sets and qualifications and guidelines in order for you to qualify for that specific apartment that they're offering within their building. And if you're going to rent a co-op, there's also a package board fee. And I've seen those board fees be as high as $700, $800. So be ready if you're going to rent a co-op to shell out some extra dough there as well, okay? There's 3 primary things that a landlord is going to want when you approach them with respect to leasing their apartment. Now, here's a tip I'm going to give you that's absolutely valuable. A lot of people don't know this, but it's imperative that you have your paperwork ready before you actually go out there and look for an apartment, okay? So part of the bonus that we're giving away in this video is we're giving you guys the checklist that we send out to all our clients in preparation of them getting ready to go look for apartments, all right? Now this checklist covers everything from A to Z in terms of all the documentation you're going to need in order for you to be ready to find your next apartment, right? So And by the way, that's just a, a gift to you, to us, just for taking your time to listen to me speak to you today through this video. So just click the button below and you'll get that downloaded directly to your file, okay? So the three things that a landlord is going to want from you are, they're going to want to see your credit, all right? So if you've got good credit, that's fantastic. If you've got good credit typically means anything from a FICO score of 700 and above. That's what they consider good credit here in New York City, okay? So if you've got good credit, fantastic. They're going to want to look at your income. Here in New York City, you need to make at least 40 times the rent amount per year as far as income. Now, where are they going to get that number from? They're going to look at your tax return. Yes, they're going to look at the adjusted gross income line item on your tax return. That's the line item they're going to look at right there. And if the adjusted gross income shows that you make at least 40 times the rent value, then at least you can scratch that off from your list. You're okay as far as the income there too. Okay. So, and they're going to look at your assets. If you make $100,000 a year, but produce bank statements that only have $5,000 in the bank or $10,000 in the bank, it's going to raise some red flags. Landlord's going to want to know, where's this person spending their cash, right? So they're going to look at three things. If you remember this acronym, you'll be fine. Your credit, your income, and your assets. That means CIA, okay? So they're going to look at your CIA, your credit, your income, and your assets to determine your eligibility, whether or not they want to take you as a resident in their building. Also, if you have a pet, beware. Here in Manhattan, cats aren't a real big issue, but dogs are. Dogs are perceived as a liability here in New York City. So if you do have a pet, make sure you take a photograph of your dog, the name, make, and weight as well, and let the person that you're going to be working with, the broker, know this information in advance. Some landlords will absolutely not take an applicant that's got a dog, even though you might have a pet deposit or something, with the exception of dogs that are specifically trained for people with disabilities. That's a whole nother issue. That's a whole nother topic right there, okay? But if it's just a regular, fun, furry, loving pet, chances are, unfortunately, most landlords here in Manhattan are gonna frown on that. So, but not every landlord's the same. So you want to let your broker know in advance that you do have a pet. Send them a photograph of the pet, the breed, the weight, and the age of the dog as well. Okay, that's very important. Pre-package your documents before you start looking, okay? What you want to do with the list that we're going to give you today, once you download it right here, right below with the button, pre-package all this stuff before you start your search. I can't tell you how many times I've been with clients who have fallen in love with apartments, or I've seen or heard stories of a person that, went off and found their perfect apartment only to find out that they had almost everything complete with the exception of the letter of employment. Wow. Yeah, the letter of employment has been a deal killer on many occasions. Sometimes employers take up to a week or 10 days to produce that letter of employment for their employees. In which case, by that time, somebody else could have come in the back door, saw the apartment, had their paperwork ready, and boom, locked and loaded on the deal. And that would have been a shame, because that could have been the right apartment that you had been hoping to find since you started your look. So, package everything you need in advance of your search. That's going to help you tremendously. Then, once you copy everything, email it to yourself, put it in Word, in PDF format, and save it to your Google Drive or your Dropbox or somewhere that's easily accessible when you're here in the city. Once you find an apartment, boom, send that information over to the broker who's representing the landlord, and then at that point in time, it makes the process a whole lot smoother from beginning to end, okay? It shows that you're diligent, that you've actually done your homework in the process of finding a place, and it really shows a lot of respect for the process of finding an apartment, especially with the people that you're working with. So that's all I've got for you today. Hope you enjoyed this quick video on how to find an apartment in New York City. The next segment, we're going to be talking about rent stabilized apartment and a lot of the greedy things that landlords do with these type of deals, okay? We're going to be talking a little bit more about applying for co-ops and a whole bunch of other very interesting topics that are, that are sometimes shrouded in obscurity when you're looking at properties in the market. Again, I created this video because a lot of times, you reach out to brokers on the phone and you ask them a question, they never get back to you, or, they don't give you complete information. My job is to really give you enough information to empower you to make intelligent choices for yourself and for your family. And I hope this video has been of value to you. I thank you again for your time this afternoon. Wish you guys the best, and I look forward to talking to you in the next segment.